rock from the rock, an unusual musical happening in a most unusual place.
Yeah.
The state prison.
Yeah.
So in Tatum's interview with Trayston said Wyatt's name, then he apologized like he wasn't supposed to say it.
And so I told Wyatt that, and oops, my bad. But I told him.
It's good.
I told him that.
Now, mind you, in Warren's interview with Tatum, he said Wyatt's name 20 times. I counted. He didn't say anybody else's name more than 10. Now, why was he so comfortable saying Wyatt's name that much? And then why would
we did if we know we killed somebody?
I mean, the simple answer to that question is because that's what people do when they're trying to cover something up. I mean, duh. And y'all still haven't answered the question. What do y'all think about the cleaned up audio?
But we fixed the boat and we ran into Fort Bayou, and that's it. The CETO call was completely enhanced, and these people just want to believe what they want to hear.
The CETO call was completely enhanced. Wouldn't that be a good thing? Now, I'm going to assume that that's not what you meant to say, and that's why y'all need to stop doing interviews with Officer BBB and go do interviews with someone like Ben Crump, who's the family's attorney. And we still waiting for answers about why y'all went to Fort Bayou instead of going back to the dock that you needed to go back to go home.
So all this makes me wonder who was driving to Palm Beach, and why did they, according to what Warren said, already leave? Y'all went out there together and started having trouble with one of the boats, but not everybody stayed to help. Y'all didn't want all hands on deck. And what boat was Warren really on the whole time? And why was the GPS tracking for only one of the boats released? There's so many more unanswered questions. But another thing I caught earlier in part 3, Warren said Wyatt was the one who called CETO, but then he pivoted real smooth away from what was actually said on the call. He said Wyatt was like before changing the focus to the cell service.
So that's when Wyatt called CETO, and Wyatt was like, calls him, because the cell service isn't great at the island, but once you can use your phone, but stuff might not descend, and it's not great.
Which I guess was smart for him to do, given how much chaos was going on at the time, now that we can hear the full audio that's been released, which I'll get to later. But another thing, almost 15 minutes into part 3, as he talking about the moment they started looking for Nolan, at no point do he say anything about Katie or Trayston. Now, he claimed he last saw Nolan with Katie, but he never said anything about reaching out to her to see if Nolan was with her. And that's interesting to me, considering how in Tatum's interview with Trayston, almost 13 minutes in, Trayston said,
Warren gets on the phone and he's just like, hey man, he was like, hey, have you talked to Nolan? Anything else? I was like, no, I haven't talked to him, man. He was with that girl last time I knew. And he was like, okay. He was like, man, we can't get a hold of him. We don't know where he's at. And I was like, man, it's Nolan. He's probably just out somewhere with that girl. Like, get a hold of the girl, you'll probably find Nolan. It's no big deal.
But Warren chose not to do that for some reason. What he did do was ask what Nolan's Snapchat location said, which is also interesting to me, because why would you bother checking his location if you knew his phone was on Wyatt's boat and he didn't come back with y'all?
Before I called Miss Christine, I asked, I was like, oh, well, where's his location at? Because Nolan had his Snapchat location on for me. And he said, Wyatt said it's, in my truck. Because everybody who left stuff on the boat, it was Wyatt's boat, so Wyatt put it in his truck, it's just normal.
Because Warren made it clear around 4:44 on part 4.
Nolan left the phone on the boat. And when we ran in, Nolan didn't ask for his phone.
Look, if you ain't got tired of listening to the lies, and if you can actually believe it, there's even more. And so in the first part of the interview Tatum did with Warren, there's an edit 4 minutes and 13 seconds in where Warren said Nolan was on a boat with him, but it was edited to sound like he said Nolan was on a boat with him last year. Most of everybody from Ocean Springs and the Gulf Coast go to Horn Island. And, we went last year. Nolan was on the boat with me last year, and he was... Now, I can't say for sure what was cut out, but I definitely caught that and the hard swallow right after. Pause. But then there was another edit 5 minutes and 40 seconds in where Warren says Wyatt's name, and he starts to say another person's name before it's cut out.
My buddy Wyatt and I went, and with my buddy, and we went, topped the boat off.
And right after that, he said Wyatt has a smaller boat called the Palm Beach, and that he, Warren, drove the Palm Beach from Fort Bayou to the boat launch.
Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach, and I drove the boat from Fort Bayou boat launch to my buddy's grandparents' house, and that's where we all planned to meet up that day.
So he's saying Wyatt had 2 boats out there, and that he drove one of them to the boat launch. But he also said he actually rode to Horn Island on a 3rd boat called the Tide Line, which belonged to his buddy Bart.
I went with my buddy Bart because we had a lot of friends from college coming down, and I called Bart that morning. I was like, hey man, can you take your boat out? And he was like, yeah, well, my dad decided not to go, and I'll take the boat and I'll take you and your friends. Of course, I mean, he's a buddy of mine. And so Bart pulled up at the dock, and I mean, I rode out there with Bart.
And that's supposedly the person who told him. But 8 minutes and 20 seconds into part 2, he said, when I left the Palm Beach to get on the boat with Wyatt.
I rode out here on a different boat, like I told you, and I grabbed my phone when I left the Palm Beach to get on the boat with to get on the boat with Wyatt, because we were having, boat issues. And
well, he stumbled through it probably because he was trying to keep up with his lies. And they get worse in parts 3 and 4. Because 10 minutes into part 3, when he said his buddy was telling Nolan to get on the boat, he said
because the Palm Beach had already left.
That you see now.
Damn! Because no reasonable person would think that he was still out on the island, in my opinion. Because in your own words, Warren, you said you didn't talk to Katie till the next day. And then speaking of the island, the lawyer tries to say that by them going to the island and looking around, that it absolutely exonerates them and that the narrative couldn't be this, and ends it with a wild statement, mind you.
People who have been sucking up way more oxygen than they're entitled to have not been to the island. I'm willing to bet that a lot of the hustlers and profiteers and liars have not been to that island, and you have to go to that island. And being at the island today was revelatory. It was really illuminating. It's a very dynamic marine environment, first of all. But when you go to the island, you see instantly that what some people want to be true, what they wish to be true, they're trying to wish it to be true. They're trying to make it true through their lies. It's actually not possible. It is a very, very long and narrow barrier island. It's basically very low sand dunes. And the particular part of the island that we're dealing with, there are no trees. There's hardly any foliage, hardly any tree cover, hardly any plants, and it's wide open. And on July 4th, there were thousands of people there. There is no possible way that anybody could have committed a murder in broad daylight.
Murder? Who's saying anything about a murder? Most of us are under the assumption that an accident happened and they covered it up. All of this stuff that they keep trying to point to as evidence that they didn't do anything to him are not actually evidence. You know what is evidence? The security cam footage. Explain to us why the grandfather was the one who canceled the CETO. How about that? And what I see is just a complete lack of responsibility with these boys, because listen to this phrasing.
I wish we would have never, I think about this every day, I wish we would have never went out on the 4th of July, because I know this wouldn't have happened.
You see, instead of saying, I should have made sure my friend got home safely, they said, I wish we had never gone out. And I have to admit, my little antennas buzzed a little when it sounded like he was going to say, I knew this was going to happen, right?
There's absolutely no way you could defeat the internet, man. There's too many minds, too many smart individuals that are paying attention. We can go back and rewind your tape. I don't care how many times you get your lie together. You'll get caught in a lie when you keep on having to record here. You have to tell that story again. They're on the beach, they're here and there. And then there's even a spot where they clipped. And of course, we do videos. We know when there's a splice in the video and then it jumps to something else. There's a jump cut. It's called a jump cut. But yeah, man, this Nolan Wells situation is getting very interesting. And the more they talk, and I keep hearing people in the media keep saying, well, those guys need to stop talking. No, they need to keep talking. Keep on talking. Because the more you talk, the more the lies come out. Anyway, let's continue.
That seems like what he was going to say. It wasn't, maybe we shouldn't have been underage drinking. They literally say, we did everything right.
I mean, there's not much I would change from my point of view and my friend's point of view. I think we did everything right, and I know we did nothing wrong.
Those are not the words of somebody who lost their brother, their best friend, a month ago. And I lost one of my closest friends in a suspicious way, I blamed myself, even though I hadn't even physically seen her in a couple years. And for those of you guys saying that Jax is the one that people should press, I fully disagree. He is the one that I think is the scariest out of these interviews. Watch the way he looks at Warren during this moment.
We live in a very tight-knit community, and for people to, push back and say these things when they know what Ocean Springs is like, it's really hard. And I mean, I don't think I haven't had many personal encounters, but I know being around the
Oh, he felt like he was saying something to Warren. Because let's not forget, it was his grandparents' house that they all got together at. It was his grandparents' house that they went back to and thus should have security cam footage from. And out of all of them, Jax is the one that is holding his body in a different way, who is more controlled, more level-headed. If these kids were truly looking to exonerate themselves, they would actually start addressing some of these questions. Like, who was the fourth boat? Why were all of you huddled up out there together? Who drove the fucking Palm Beach?
But what I want to know is, when did they tell Nolan to get on the boat? Because it seemed to me, from what you said, that this happened around the time that the boat was having trouble. They claim they last saw Nolan alive at 3, and the call that was made about the boat sinking and needing to be towed was at 4. Now, you said they told Nolan to get on the freaking boat. Almost as if it was a rush or an emergency, or Nolan was around at that time. So what time did that conversation happen? And then you said that there was a report of Nolan being seen around 6 or 6:30. Now, where did that come from? Because you the first person I heard say that. But look, that's just what I want to know, along with whatever text messages you was talking about. I don't even want to get into the edits that was made in the video and what was cut out when Warren was talking. I mean, I want to know, but I mean, it's too many lies to follow right now. So that's just the main thing I want to know right now is, what time did that conversation happen? What time did they supposedly tell Nolan to get on the boat?
Yeah, man, when you dealing with investigating and you got people that have the time and the ability to sit back on the internet, listen to your lies, listen to you tell a story, compute it, evaluate it, put it together. Shout out to Nerdy Panda. They've also been making threats to her and been at her house, kicking her door in, trying to scare people. They've been scaring content creators, talking about doing a suing them for slander, suing different people. But this is what happens when you put it out to the world, and the world we're able to sit back, analyze, evaluate it, check times, check information, cross-reference not only each other, but other content creators. And you come up with these synopses, man. You come up with these thoughts. And it's crazy because outside of the video call, the audio, what else are you going to fight? Anyway, this has been Big Bad's Life with another informative video, man. What say you, fam? Leave a comment, because you can't fight evidence. Just go back, watch the video. Check out the edits. Check out the cuts. Check out the lies. Cross-reference everything. And if you still like leery of what's going on, you still like dumbfounded, then there's something wrong with you. Anyway, this has been Big Bad's Life. And if you like anything, man, you want to leave, hit the Cash App. Hit the Cash App. Leave a donation, man. You understand? Support the channel. Anyway, all right. No bussy popping.
Hill Street Blues, you fool, keep looking, yeah. Keep watching, you can learn a little something, yeah. You addicted, nosy niggas burning up the button, nothing. Internet a gangster, you just talk a lot of bluffing, yeah. You a bussy, boy, yeah, packing bussy. Online talking hot, yeah. You a bussy, yeah, mama raised a thought, yeah. You in the bushy, come out the closet, little thotty, yeah. You a bussy, he a bussy, boy, real bussy. We pay not no attention to a bussy. No matter the consequences, you bussy. All bar, no bite, yeah. You a bussy.